Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in on this beautiful and bright and early day. It's your host, Cody, and we are keeping it geekly with our good friend, DC Horn. We're going to be breaking down his latest Kickstarter for a brand new comic, Once Upon a Time in Xanatopia, issue number 1, and so much more in his experiences as an indie comic creator. DC, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? And man, thank you for watching so many episodes. How does it feel to be on the show for once?
Oh man, it's great, and thank you very much for having me. It's a little surreal, man. I've been a fan here for a while.
That makes me geek so hard. Like it makes me cheese so hard to hear that, because I definitely love getting just any size of like indie comic creator on, and to find out that you've been someone who's been like really active in my interviews previously is just phenomenal. I didn't know like he was under kind of a different username, so at first I thought it was just someone from one of the interviewees that I was talking to, but it ended up being you behind in disguise.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. And in all seriousness, in the indie world, we have to support each other, and the service that you're giving the small indie creators out here on your platform is just wonderful, man. So that's the thing. I just want to support what you do. You're obviously supporting us, and it goes full circle.
Yeah, and the circle of life definitely does come just to head over and over again. I was kind of talking about it yesterday with a lot of different friends and creators, like the importance of if someone like gives you a digital, wanting to back, if you enjoy it, especially wanting to buy a physical or wanting to back a campaign, even if you're buying the digital again. For instance, like with you, like, you sent me this for free. I instantly backed when I could, because it's important. I was blown away. I had a chance to read this this morning. I read actually issues 1 through 3, and holy crap, just the world building and the pacing in this was just phenomenal. And then issue 2, like, literally quote unquote but man, let's start breaking down the ins and outs of who you are. We have Random American in the chat as well, saying it's still YouTube, so he doesn't know how good it is. Touche. But YouTube, for the most part, I think is an awesome platform, especially for this type of thing. As for like the ability to rewatch it. A lot of people, they're not able to make it right on the dot, but they're able to actually jump in and then scroll back and then scroll forward to be active in the chat. I think that's a cool feature. But DC, let's start breaking things down. How did you get involved with the indie comic scene?
Man, the strangest of places. I have 2 daughters, and a few years ago, I was watching them play in the living room, and I was just confused by what they were doing, and they're playing and laughing, and I finally asked them, what are you playing? And we're pretending to be YouTubers. And the concept just sort of blew my mind,
That's cool.
They were like 6 or 7, I think. And I said, well, do you guys want to be YouTubers? Like, it's not, the technology's there. And they did. So, we got like an Elgato. We started doing Let's Plays. Mm-hmm. Like me and these, that's where the Olivia Claire and Dad YouTube channel actually comes from.
That is so awesome.
But, so we started doing these, and I was their editor, but we do these little Let's Plays, and it had a lot of fun for about a year. They finally kind of tired of it after about a year, but it was such a cool experience. And afterwards, I was thinking about, I was inspired by it, really, because it was like, they had a dream. I helped them achieve their dream. And I said, well, hell, like, I can do my own thing, actually, too. It was just such an inspiration to kind of witness their plan, their dream come true, and that kind of led me into, well, hell, let's just make a comic book.
So is this your first one? Have you done like other works? Have you dove into any sort of like short stories previously, or did you just go full send with this one?
Like an idiot, I went full throttle with this one. The whole series.
Hey, it turned out good though. It turned out good.
A lot of work, but I'll not advise anyone to do a long run story starting out. This actually though began as a card game. Weirdly enough, like, after this experience with my daughters, I went to a local design studio. I was like, dude, I don't know what I want to do, but I want to do something. So we started chatting around, and we come up with the idea of making card games. So we created several like prototypes, and I think I have it here. We did this game, which I think is going to be backwards. No, it's right. Xanatopia Conflict.
That's so cool.
And it was this JRPG turn-based card dueling game where you build your party of heroes with unique classes and abilities, and you fight. We got the prototype done, and I was just staring at it, and there's just something. There's an itch somewhere in there. And something just wasn't hardly right. So I went on Upwork and I hired some concept artists, and I was like, dude, let's just flesh this out. This needs something. And Miriam, who does issue 1, she was one of the concept artists, and she sent me this page of her concepts of all these different characters, and it looked just like a comic book. And that's what I told her. I was like, dude, like we can do this. And so she jumped on board with me. David Swanson, another one, jumped on board with me, and none of us had any real comic book experience. We just sort of said, what the hell, let's make a comic book.
So did you have Paladins and Fire Knights in the game?
Yeah.
What were
a version of it, yeah.
Were these characters like in the game as well, or did you make them up along the way?
Well, Nora was. She was one of the characters.
That's awesome.
Cherry was one of the characters, and throughout the thing got Citric and 84 and several, other ones. And that was the thing. The story originally was meant to be kind of an anthology of the different characters. But for whatever reason, I kept going back to Nora. Like, I just fell in love with the character. So it just naturally became Nora's story.
So Nora is a rather interesting character. You put a lot of emphasis on her. In the beginning, we get a little bit of a look at her, and she's gone through some stuff. She's paraplegic, right?
Yes.
Or amputee would be the better
I guess
term.
amputee. Yeah, probably.
Amputee. And she's also
not
missing
paraplegic yet.
Excuse me for that. And she's missing an eye as well. You wake up and she's staring at a screen, and we see that she's getting a call for an execution. What was the meaning? Was there any meaning behind her Paladin number?
Yeah, actually, it was. I used to have a Hotmail email account like back forever ago, and when you put in the email, if someone already has it, it gives you like the suggested number. So years ago, it was like 55187, and I've just always hung on to the 55187. So it's like an old phone number, So
what was your driving motivation to make her an amputee? I mean, that like right off the rip, like gave her some big barriers to have to overcome.
Yeah, I don't remember, to be honest with you. We went through different versions of what her original class was, like soldier or something like that, in the terms of like a role-playing game. She was like a warrior, and we definitely wanted to throw some science fiction in there. We had like robot parts or armor and different stuff, and I think we kept seeing these pictures of these cyborgs, with all these exposed metal parts and bright lights and all that stuff, and it was a really cool aesthetic. So I think we just sort of took that aesthetic and made it canon,
Yeah, speaking of aesthetic, I mean, the aesthetic of this whole comic is just unreal. There's pretty much for the whole entire book, it's black and white, but you emphasize like the colors of the armor, like for Nora, like her abilities, and her armor has the red hue. For Cherry, his armor has the blue glow to it, as well as his fire wielding abilities. You see those colors really resonate within the book, and I think it's just like such an outstanding move to do. What was your direction for that? I mean, was there any particular reasoning?
A couple. The cooler reason, I guess, is one of the big influences we started at. Is I watched a boatload of like old samurai movies. Remember like the Ghost of Tsushima? You had like the black and white mode.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I just hit my thing. That director that was inspired by, I don't remember his name, but he did all these great samurai movies, and they're all black and white, and there's like a Sword of Doom was another one. So there was an era of these really great, fun sword fighting movies that were black and white, and we went that. Then we came up with this theory that magic, science, and blood should be in color. Just as some weird like emphasis. The real reason we started, though, I will say, because it was cheaper to be black and white than full color. But along the way, like it worked out, and we came up with a really cool reason for it.
Hey, I mean, and the thing is, with these interviews, I like to promote, but you have to already know. I like them to be tools for people to learn, and saving a few bucks here and there is essential, especially when you're starting with your first issue and trying to get it off the ground.
Yeah, grayscale's a little bit cheaper than color for sure.
And it was really impactful too, because just capitalizing on like the blood and the magic and the fire, like it really made it stand out.
Yeah, it worked out. It really worked out to her interest for sure.
So we start out with her as an executioner, and she's going to be meeting up with a longtime friend, Cherry. Now they kind of are meeting for the first time after breaking apart for quite some time. I know you really don't touch base on that in the first issue, but I mean, Cherry and his involvement, you know, I know you said Nora kind of was driven from the game, but how did you come up with Cherry?
We really needed someone to compliment her. You know, that, you know, she was one aspect of my personality in a sense, and she needed someone to complement. So we took Cherry as another aspect of me. So really, in a sense, if you combine them, Nora's half of me, Cherry's the other half. Mm-hmm. And for I'll stay away from spoilers.
You're the magic dad.
Yeah, I'm Magic Dad for sure. But I'll stay out of some spoiler area. But also, we needed a device. We needed a character to sort of help push Nora along her journey. And you know, having a brother like Cherry was just a perfect spot, you know, for that guy. So they both went through like two different paths, with Nora being a paladin and Cherry being a fire knight. Can you kind of break down what those positions are and what they entail within this world? Yeah. The idea of the knights, which is what it was just another word for police in a sense. You know, just more of your local law enforcement. You know, less than military level. Mm-hmm. Paladins were really more, they're monster hunters. And a lot of that came from, the inspiration for Paladins really came from Bloodborne. You had the hunters. Game. Lovely game.
Yeah, right
and,
here.
You had the hunters, you know, that group of characters. Oh yeah, awesome. That whole thing, the hunter's dream. And you know, you had Eileen the Crow and all those characters. So it was this neat little idea of if you're having monster hunters, we sort of stole the word paladin and made it work together, but that's really what they are. They're monster hunters. And
I mean, just the way you went about like developing the character and the relationship between the two. I thought that was, you know, the pacing was awesome, especially for a first issue. I hear that's kind of the hard thing to do, is get the pacing between dialogue and visuals. I think you guys really nailed it out.
I've been so worried about that. You know, that's my biggest fear about issue one is that it's like, is it too slow? Is it too much? You know, because we really do take our time with it. But hopefully it does.
I think it's rewarding though. I mean, I know this is the Kickstarter for issue 1, but in issue 2, it builds up such a climax for the cliffhanger that when you hit issue 2, like my expectations, like what I was expecting, like what ended up just being a roller coaster of like I don't even know, depression, despair. Yeah. I couldn't even get it out. Like, man, like, oh my God, you did such a good job with like just the twist, because like, holy crap. Yeah. Wow.
So originally, like issue 1 had a lot of issue 2 in it, but I was trying to fill some spaces, and we got into the breakfast scene. And I had so much fun writing that whole, and just kept getting, it went from 1 page to 2 pages to 3 pages. I think it's like 8 pages long. I'm not really sure.
Is that kind of like where you started to interject a lot of your personality? Because I felt like that father-daughter scene definitely probably could have been a lot of you, like, inspired.
Oh yeah, there's a boatload of me right there. A boatload. But that whole little scene, like I enjoyed it so much, and it became such a big part of issue 1 that we ended up just shoving everything that is issue 2 into issue 2. So it does sort of have like, it is 2 sides of a coin right there, a very stark contrast of, you know, setup and then, you know, knocking them down.
So with them being apart for so long, I mean, what was your reasoning for kind of just making their interaction, like, I guess, like, as accepting as Cherry was to see her? I mean, I know his wife wasn't so happy, but I mean, with Cherry, you know, it seems like he didn't even care.
Yeah, and some of the backstory behind that we get into, like issue 6, maybe even 7, when we get, because we talk about Freya, a character in there. So when we meet Freya, we get into some of like what actually happened between the three of them. But I think
that's
for me,
funny
though,
you said that, because that's Nora's favorite her
her
favorite attack.
Paladin attack.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's mine too, man. Meteor Egg is going to be so damn cool when we finally get to draw it. Well, actually, it is in issue 6. Meteor Egg is in issue 6, and it's one of my favorite scenes of the whole.
You do such a
volume.
good job of dropping that foreshadowing. We were talking about that earlier in the DMs, but like there again, it was just, I had to interrupt you there because I was like, damn, dude, he did it again. Like, look at this guy.
Yeah. But and with I guess in my mind with Cherry is, Nora and Cherry are essentially brother and sister, non-related, but they're orphans raised together, and I think with siblings sometimes we can fall apart, but when it's all said and done, we love each other. And I guess that was sort of my thoughts on that whole scene.
So why make them brother and sister and not lovers?
I'm making a very strange choice with Once Upon a Time Xanatopia to not have a love interest. I'm making a very conscious decision of I'm not going to have a love triangle with her per se with other characters. Other characters can, but I'm trying very hard to keep her, for lack of a better word, asexual. This is not an interest in her story. It's I'm trying to see how long I can go, at least, without having a love interest for her.
No, that makes sense, because in the other issues that I read, she does come off as a lone wolf. She makes that very apparent, that she wants to. So, yeah, that any particular reasoning behind that, or just was it something that you just kind of wanted to do just to make it different?
Just to make it different, because it's one of those things. You always have some form of love interest. It's just one of the main pillars that most stories are built around. And I just I don't know. Do you really need it? I'll try it and see what happens.
Yeah. So we see a lot of gorgeous detailing and drawing, and I think the way they were able to illustrate not only just the characters themselves, but the different vehicles and the environment was just so well drawn.
They murdered it, man. I mean, Miriam and David are obscenely talented, and they are the heart and soul of this whole project. Honestly, it's been such a joy working with them. I was talking to him not that long ago. We started working together last year in January, so we've been a year and a half almost, and we've really transcended work relationship. We have kind of reached a point where we're friends. I care about them. A while back, David was sick, and I was like, "Oh man, are you okay?"
Dude.
We're a really tight knit group at the moment. And I love them wholeheartedly.
Isn't it crazy how relationships like that could evolve? Even I found relationships on Twitter with a lot of these indie comic creators, especially after I interviewed them and stuff. We remain friends. We remain in contact, supporting each other, liking each other's stuff, retweeting. And some of those relationships can be so much more impactful than the ones I have in real life.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, man. It comes from everywhere.
So, hey, I think we've done an awesome job, because I really don't want to spoil too much of issue 1. I think there's, there's obviously some rather big things that, we haven't talked about, and I think that needs to be saved for the reader. If you want to, let's go ahead and start breaking down that Kickstarter. I'm going to go ahead and add it to the screen.
Yeah, sure. I don't remember the guy you had on a couple days ago. You had the guy was the Marine ape, the really fun comic.
Manny.
Yeah, I was watching that interview, and I think he articulated
El Crudo issue number 5.
Yeah. He articulated a lot of what my goal is with this. We're starting with 1, and he's obviously at 5. But we're really looking at this it's a marathon, the long haul. So we're trying to be very humble starting out. It's simple. Let's get 1. If we can get 20 people in, we're happy. Yeah, and we'll move to 2, and it's a marathon for us. So
we are ready to go whenever you are. I have it pulled up. Yeah. I just wanted to adjust our screen so the windows weren't cut off.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go for it. We're good.
You're the one that got to scroll.
I have to scroll.
This happens every time almost. Yeah, because you're the one sharing. It makes it easier so that way you could scroll at your own pace.
Gotcha. Okay, so here. I'm good, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. Yeah, so here we are. We got the video. Does the sound work on this?
It should. If it doesn't, I could always edit the sound in post-production.
It's okay. We'll hit that. It's a...
I'm not getting any sound.
The first 3 pages. I think we're on 4 pages. our little video.
Yeah, so there wasn't any sound for that, but I can edit that post production. That's not a problem.
Yeah, it's just some that sweet lo-fi chill hop. But yeah, it's Once Upon a Time in Xanatopia, issue 1. It's a modern fantasy sci-fi adventure. Our goal here is $800. 20 days left.
Doing pretty good though. You are over halfway with 10 days in. So I mean, that has to be a pretty good feeling, right?
Yeah, not shabby, not too shabby, man.
And you already got the book done. The book's already written.
Yeah, we're ready to rock and roll. We got a couple of minor changes we're going to make in it, but I mean it's tiny stuff, so it's a week long, to fix it. But yeah, we talked about the project. I think we talked about some of this. We had classic samurai movies, JRPGs, contemporary world. Here's one of our reviews that we got here from Geek Culture Reviews. That was we really appreciate it. It was a great review. It talks about Miriam's artwork. We can go into page 1, 2.
So what was that? In that first page, what was that like tentacle looking monster that she was like visualizing?
Oh, that is a very, very special monster that we're saving for later. It's one of the first monsters I think the concept group came up with. And it's actually one of the pages we're going to edit a little bit. That's supposed to be more dreamy.
That's what I was getting as well.
Yeah, so we were put a little bit staticky, make it a little bit more apparent. But that is the monster that ate her legs off.
Oh, right.
That's not really that big of a spoiler. I'll throw that one out there for everybody. But
hey, it's exclusive though, right?
Yeah, that's what ate her legs off. That right there. Then we go into her waking up. Oh, only 3 pages there. Then we have Miriam, who did all of the inside artwork. She does a cover for every issue. She does issue 1 and issue 5. The inside. So
was there any big reasoning for her not being the artist for issue 2?
We had her and David, and we were just experimenting. There's actually a third artist, but he does issue 4. I don't think he's listed on any of this, but it was a happy mistake or a happy kind of blunder going through. Of we just wanted to see what would happen with multiple art styles, and along the way, I really enjoyed it. Like it was actually, especially get into like Gian Maria is his name, who does issue 4. This very like stark contrast of styles sort of gave me this Love, Death, and Robots vibe. Yeah. Or other like anthologies like that, where you have very different stories, like back to back with very different art styles. So it was a happy kind of blunder we got into. We sort of think it worked out,
Yeah. I was just curious because it's always interesting to just see kind of what happens, because you said she does come back for a later issue, right?
Yeah, she's issue 5. And one of the things I really like about her style in particular, like issue 1, I think she just knocked it out of the park. And issue 5 has a lot of that too, of those really intimate conversation pieces with the different facial expressions. I mean, she's just really, really good at that. And so that's where she just belonged, issue 5. As soon as that came up, it was like, Miriam, you go here immediately. Because it's right up your alley. And in contrast with David, who's next to her here, who does the front cover, issues 2, 3. He did all the lettering, some of the extra artwork. We got into like issue 2 and 3, and I was like, dude, this is clearly David Swanson, right? You have to do this. So it sort of worked out for us.
Yeah, I really like the artwork in issue 2 a whole lot, especially the cover. The cover was awesome. Cover gave me a lot of hope, which you just like took and stomped and smothered and squished, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna spit on it too.
Yeah, I have. I'm eagerly waiting the death threats.
Oh man! So how much twist like that can we expect? Because it seems like this series is just gonna be just ripe with it, just ripe with stuff that's just gonna make you like, whoa, did that happen?
Spoilers, man, spoilers. That's all I can say. We're definitely fans of the glass cannon theory.
Yeah. So what is the glass cannon theory?
Yeah, you mages. I like the idea of being really powerful, but also brittle.
Okay, all right, I gotcha.
That thing of like, I love I love the Souls games.
You do. I was gonna say you do play a lot of Bloodborne.
And that idea of like Elden Ring and everything is that idea of like you're one hit from death at any given moment.
So you want to hear
a fascinating concept?
My biggest accomplishment with Bloodborne is I successfully did a blood level 4 run.
Wow.
That took me probably about a week. Because basically all you do is you upgrade your saw cleaver as fast as humanly possible. So I think when you're fighting Vicar Emilia, you have like a +5. Then all you do is like I only got hit one time during that fight. Dude, that boss when I first and this is why I love Soulsborne games, because when I first played it took me like a month to beat her. She was so hard because she kept healing during the fight, and I'm like, that's cheating. Only I can do that.
Dude. I mean, I don't want to like get like too far off, man. But like, have you fought in Elden Ring, Melania?
I do a lot of Twitch streaming, so I do a lot of gaming on the side, and so I play all the new AAA titles that dropped. And right before I got to her, because I was at the Fire Giant, I had to stop and play Ghostwire Tokyo, and then Kirby came out. Kirby is so good.
Well, if you don't like bosses that heal,
I got something for you.
Jesus.
So let's go ahead and reel it back. I am so good at getting off tangent, but I'm getting better at bringing it back. No, that's my fault, man. So we are here at the editor.
Yeah, editor Arnhati. This is honestly, she's one of the most important members of the team, man. Like, I mean, we were on a path to just being dead on arrival. Honestly, we did a lot of work and we'd had a lot of stuff drawn and written. But when we got an editor, that's when everything started just popping back together. Like, she really set us back on track. And it's one recommendation I have to anybody is, dude,
what does she do?
Hire an editor. She, I send her copies of everything, so I'll send her a copy of the script first. All the artists, we do like a sketch version of the whole issue first, and I put in word balloons, and we work on dialogue and stuff. But each phase, I'll send her a version of it. So I'll send her the script, and she'll like, hey, I don't like this, or hey, DC, that's stupid, don't do that. She's really mean.
That's good though, right? That's good.
She's not really mean. I'm just sort of picking on her. But yeah, she comes in and she's like, Dave, I don't think this makes sense, or this is silly, or the pacing's weird, or whatever. So then I'll either choose to listen to her or not, but I'll adjust it a little bit, and we get to the sketch phase, and then she'll do the same thing, even to the final side. So I mean, she's just always there to sort of, it really just a third set of eyes, just going in and saying, hey, this is not working, or it is working, or I love this, or different stuff. So yeah, she's wonderful. She's really helped the project a lot.
And then we got the man of the hour.
Yeah, and you come to me and Bob here. And
so any meaning behind DC Horn?
Well, it's just my initials. My name's Don Curtis, and somewhere along the way that was too long for people, so it just became DC.
So what about the horn?
Oh, then that's just my last name. Yeah.
Oh.
That was just.
He's like, it might sound impressive, but.
Yeah, man. I mean, on Twitter, I'm D to the MFC, and that has a little bit more of a that's my hip hop name. But,
yeah. Hip hop, you say?
Yeah, that's my fake hip hop name is D to the MFC.
Okay, all right. Don't make me beatbox.
Oh God.
So now we're coming up on the different covers.
Yeah. This is the main cover, the original cover. This is David Swanson's cover. Just a wonderful, wonderful little image of Nora.
Yeah, I think it really
and it printed so beautifully, man.
Yes.
I was so impressed with the print on this right here. It's.
So what type of magic is that? Is that any like certain kind? Like what sort of like elemental like values does it have to it?
She is light magic. That's what she does. She can harness light and make like hard light holograms. Mm-hmm. Really heavily inspired by like Green Lantern. Only she can't do anything. It's like she can make a sword, or she can make like the aura shield.
A bad sword though. This sword is big. This is a big meaty sword. I love it so much.
It was really based off of the old. I guess the new one does too, but the old Final Fantasy VII. You went to Nibelheim, and then you got the rune sword. Mm-hmm. The rune buster sword. So it was like this big square blocky chunk, and that was really what we based her sword off of.
That was like the first one that gave you, I think, the 2 times material growth too. So it was like nice to like get
probably
in.
So yeah,
do the grind.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm a little bit of a Final Fantasy nerd too. We're gonna have to get together one of these days and just nerd it up.
Absolutely. And speaking of Final Fantasy, this is Miriam's cover right here, and we had talked about the Final Fantasy influences. And she used that. I can't remember the name of the concept artist for Final Fantasy, but he also did like Vampire Hunter D and some other stuff. Mm-hmm. And she really went with that style to make like a
like the Final Fantasy like 6 artwork and stuff.
Yeah, like the concept artist. I can't remember his name, but he did like for pretty much all of them.
I can't ever. So I'm like, my thing is I can get names down if like before interviews I'll spend like 15 minutes on Google like how to pronunciate, and I'll just be like, okay. So if you try to get me on the fly, I'm just gonna look like an idiot.
yeah, same. And she talks about that. And this is from Gian Maria, who does issue 4. We got him to come and do a cover for 1 for us. And
this was the Magic. That's where I got the Magic Dad plate. I like that little touch at the back. We have Dr. Hino419 in the chat saying hi. How are you doing? Good afternoon. Thank you for stopping. If anyone in the chat has any questions for DC, be sure to let us know. This comic is phenomenal. I had a chance to read it. I gave a little short spiel on Twitter, but be looking forward to a more in-depth look at it sometime in the future.
Absolutely. Then the risk, it's done, so there's really no risk to it. The rewards really basic. There's just the donation, digital version of 1 at $4, digital print combo. Ideally, we wanted to be $3 and $6 was the original goal. 3 for digital and then 6 for print. We sort of had to like shift a little bit.
I mean, it was $1 more though, right? I think the combo's $10.
Yeah. It'd just be like $1 extra, but we can do
that's still pretty good for a digital and physical.
I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it is personally. You had the variant covers. You had like the PDF and poster. Like a 5 times issues, collector's bundle, all of the variants. A half-page advertisement where we can do like a half-page ad for someone else's comic or whatever. We'll throw it in the back. So it's a pretty straightforward, simple campaign.
So how many of these issues do you already have written?
And 5. The first 4 are done. The 4th one has like 1 page left. If you notice, there's like a chibi page at the end of each issue.
I love the chibi so much.
That's all that's left on issue 4 is the chibi page, and they're working on it now. 5 is like halfway done. So at some point, I have to write 6. So it's still like up here.
Yeah. So the Kickstarter is basically just to help get this to physical and kind of help fund issue 2 as well. Yeah,
I mean it's just kind of it's a release in a sense, and everything that we get from it, we're just pushing forward into the next one. We have some other projects on the side that we're working on. So everything we're doing, we're just getting started with the marathon of trying to build a base.
For anyone that is interested, here is the link to the Kickstarter. Be sure to check that out. DC, for anyone that's watching and they're on the fence, why should they back this project? If you had the opportunity to, I guess, sell yourself to anyone watching, what would you like to say to them?
God, that is my weakest skill.
Buy the book.
Buy it. Dude, I think if anyone's listened to you and what we talked about, it should sell itself. I think it's I think in the Kickstarter, I say under my little profile, it's comics for comics, it's art for art. Mm-hmm. This is my love letter to a culture that shaped me, that I've loved my entire life, and hopefully that comes across. And this is a love letter. This is a passion, and we've truly put our heart and soul in it.
And I noticed on Twitter you had a nice little roadmap of like the issues to come. How big is this series expected to be?
At the moment, we're kind of stopping it at issue 6 as like the first volume, and then our goal is to have a volume bundle, actually make like a graphic novel of the first 6 issues together. So it's we're volume 1 and kind of stop. We're world building a little bit for a second volume. In theory, we'll keep going for a long time. We have the overall story arc, like the 3 pillars. I'm calling them for what the overall story is about. I would like to see it up around 36 issues.
No, that'd be awesome.
We'll see. And at the moment, we're just going to do it like in chunks, like volume 1. Here it is, volume 2 and 3, and build and see where we go.
And your world building and foreshadowing, like we were talking about, it's just so good. It's just chef kiss. I mean, because once and the thing is, like, it's one of those things when you read it, you're like, holy crap, like, all right, like, okay. So I definitely gotta give you kudos for that. I highly recommend this book. I thought it was a phenomenal read. You gave it to me digitally. I had to back the physical and the digital, without a doubt. Thank because I definitely stand behind it. So I definitely give my Keeping It Geekly vouch of approval on it. Now, with that being said, we've come to one of my favorite parts of the show, and I'm sure you already are prepared for this one. I like to ask anyone I interview one simple question, and that is for anyone out there who is struggling to get their own kind of comic going or just get the process started. What type of advice would you like to give them to kind of help them push through?
One thing I say often, man, is an imperfect something is better than a perfect nothing. And I've spent most of my life always world building and creating, and you get trapped in the world building, and you get trapped in trying to make this perfect story. And sometimes, like, dude, let it fly. Like, it's okay. Like, and you'll figure it out as you go. I mean, like, even the most recent Batman movie, there's like a 10-minute scene in the middle of the movie that is dumb as hell.
What scene?
The jail scene. I hate that scene with a passion.
You hate that scene? Like, I could see why people hated it.
It's pointless.
But
there's no reason.
So I thought it was the Riddler trying to implicate him, especially the part where he's like, well, I'm not strong enough to pull him out there. Only you could do that. I'm like, he's trying to fucking implicate him in all this. Like, it was, and then that's when you started seeing Bruce start to unwrap. He's like, no, I dared it. Like,
no, that's the whole thing. It's like, he's passed out, and for some reason the cops took him to the police station without unmasking him. Then he wakes up surrounded by police officers. And he's, I was like, dude, I mean, it's
oh, silly, that part, yeah.
That was, So that was where the thing of, like, everything has flaws. Everything has little bits and pieces that don't make sense, or it's weird, or someone's going to critique, or someone's going to say, hey, this is stupid. At some point, you just got to let it fly. And I think that's a huge thing, is like, don't get trapped in your own prison of perfectness.
No, I got you. Yeah, man. I thought you were talking about when he was talking to the Riddler.
Oh, like, no. Yeah. It was like, why did they not unmask him? It's the goofiest. Yeah.
And honestly, that type of stuff I think is just plot armor. Just to get it going. Sometimes you need it though. Sometimes I don't know how else would it have been done?
Well, yeah. And I guess it goes to the point of, like, sometimes it's okay to have something that someone's going to talk some shit about. Like,
yeah.
And it's a really successful movie. Who am I to say anything?
Because it's out there,
Yeah, like, geez.
Hey, well, with that being said, guys, this is Cody. We had our good friend DC Horn on to talk about Once Upon a Time in Xanatopia issue number 1. Be sure to check it out on the Kickstarter link provided in the comments down below. I had such a awesome time. This was your first interview. I hope you had a phenomenal experience as well. Guys, we appreciate it. I can't wait to get you back on for issue number 2. And stay frosty for those upcoming reviews on issue 1, 2, and 3. One real quick question from Dr. Hino before we go. How long have you been working on Xanatopia, would you say, as a whole?
We started the comic book process probably the last year around February. So a little over a year we've been
wow! A year, you already got all this out?
Yeah, that's why I have 5 issues done. So it's like, I think I told you before we went live right here, we had so much fun making the issues that we forgot that we had to sell them and market them.
Oh my God, dude. I'm mind blown. A year you got, this is good too. It's not like, you would think having that much in that little time would be rushed, but this is good. Like, this is like,
Miriam and David, man, they've murdered it. They're phenomenal. And they're a joy to work with. Guys,
you need to check this out. Check out that Kickstarter right now. before we log off. With that being said, DC, once again, thank you for just dropping all these wonderful exclusives for us. Man, I cannot wait. But guys, I hope you have a fantastic Wednesday. We have another indie comic interview coming live at 6 p.m. EDT later on tonight, so stay frosty for that. But with that being said, keep it geekly.